This update's pretty hit or miss, depending on why you play the game. Personally, I'd argue that it's a hit, as I play Railroads Online as much for its rail fanning as I do for the logistical challenge of running the trains, and this update really caters more towards the former than the latter. Not to say there's nothing for people who just enjoy the gameplay, but aside from bug fixes, there's really only one new thing that affects how you play the game, and that's the wood rick. It's an alternative to the firewood depot that stores far less firewood, but naturally refills itself at a slow rate instead of requiring a load to restock. The rate isn't actually all that slow, though. It takes around a minute, and each side can fill up with 10 logs per refill cycle. Considering it takes around 5.5 minutes for a single log to stop providing fire to a locomotive, yeah, this thing is insane. Doing some math, you could throw 2 logs in sets of 10 locomotives every minute, repeating sets every 11 minutes, and you would break even on the wood rick while also keeping the engines perpetually fueled. Not that you can do much of anything in this perpetual state of constant refueling, but man, that's a ridiculous number regardless. Does that mean I think these things are overpowered? Actually, I don't. You could already cheat the system by deleting or replacing a firewood depot since they spawned with logs already. Also, the firewood depot gives you money for delivering wood products to it, while the wood rick can't even accept loads to begin with. Tenders already come with an absurd amount of fuel when you buy a new loco anyway, so you're not going to run out of fuel fast. It really just depends on if you want the added delivery challenge that you get from a firewood depot. If you don't, the wood rick is perfectly fine. While that's the only new gameplay element, there are some bugs that have been fixed and some adjustments to previous features worth mentioning. For one, the bug I complained about in my last Cliff Notes where the UI wouldn't go away has been fixed. Unfortunately, it seems that the UI just won't appear when placing buildings now, which is a damn shame because you can actually rotate buildings manually without having to reposition your character. I'm not sure if this is because there's just no UI, or the UI got scuffed because of this fix, but I'll cover the controls the game's not showing in a little bit. The East Broadtop hoppers now make noises when you try and use their couplers or their brakes. Previously, they didn't for some reason. The locomotive buying facility now has some better lighting. And while there's not many bugs here today, I do have a personal favor from all these. When uncoupling 2 cars, if you only remove 1 pin, the link will stay pinned to the side that still has a pin in, instead of defaulting to whichever side the link was first put in to begin with. If you didn't understand that, all you need to know is links don't ignore pins anymore when you uncouple cars. It's a very nice change. Also, just a small tangent, something funny did happen. They needed to push a very quick hotfix to the game because apparently players could delete industries. I didn't experience this, it was patched before I actually got to see the update, but yeah, I'm very glad they fixed that. It would have been kind of nightmarish to find out your oil refinery was just missing when you opened up a public save. Now, the big hit or miss part of this update, aka the majority of our new content, is props. They're decorative buildings or items that you can just place wherever you want to add more depth to your railroad. You've probably seen some in the background footage for this video already. They have no direct effect on gameplay, though the signs can help you mark out important details about your railroad, whether for yourself or for other operators. I'm not going to cover every single prop in this video, but here's some photos of the more exciting ones. Once I'm a little more accustomed to this, I might do a tutorial on how to place things so they look good. For now, though, the controls, which have no UI as I briefly mentioned before, are fairly simple once you do know them. If you want to adjust a prop's rotation, use the same keys for selecting track curvature. For tilt, use the same keys for track gradient. Unfortunately, you only have access to two axes of rotation, meaning that some pretty straightforward ideas just can't be done for some reason. These hotkeys also now apply to all player-built buildings, such as water towers, wood ricks, or telegraph houses. Speaking of telegraphs, one of the neatest props has to be the telegraph pole. No, you don't need them to be connected to use telegraph offices. However, they do look cool, especially since they automatically link to each other and also to telegraph offices. They can be a bit tricky to get right, but generally just remember to save and reload if it looks like something should have worked but it didn't. This is especially true when trying to link two telegraph lines together, as one pole can only generate one new connection when it's first placed, but will correctly connect when you reload a save. Just be warned, these things can tank your frame rate if you're not careful. Place them cautiously. Again, all of this is pretty hit or miss depending on how you play the game, but if you're here for the visuals, or maybe to use this game as a model rareting tool of some sort, this is insane. Tons of new decorative items, and opportunities to flood your railroad with more personality than ever before. I personally think this is a very welcome addition to the game. And that's all for today's Cliff Notes. Thank you for tuning in. Cheers, folks.